Associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn, on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live as well as Facebook and YouTube and YouTube.
You turn yourself. Good morning, Thursday. Welcome to YouTube.
Good morning. So I was listening to a comedian who had that beautiful lilting Irish accent.
Who?
Love. Her name is Love. So I did a little YouTube. I was trying to be a little bit Irish there.
I've always wanted an accent.
Oh, I always wanted an Irish accent.
I know, but like French people, like I love Italian is good too. But when you speak English when you're from France, like
you sound so much better.
Gosh, it just sounds beautiful.
Yeah. So
I love the way their words their mouth forms around the word.
Yes. And what's funny is I was thinking this is how badly I've been wanting cream of broccoli soup, but not any cream of broccoli soup. Au bon pain. Cream. What's really funny is I wanted to take French in high school, and my parents wouldn't allow it. They said I had to take Spanish. The world would be speaking Spanish. America would be speaking Spanish. And they were not wrong.
True.
However, I did not want to learn Spanish.
Yes.
So therefore, I didn't.
I never took Spanish.
For 2 years, I took it. I can't put 7 words together in a sentence.
That's how I felt about math.
Right. So I'm on the train, and my mother's taking me to college, and we're talking about going into the city. And this is like a kind of preview where the campus is, because I wanted to go to Florida. I did not want to go to Boston. So she was trying to warm me up to the idea of going to Boston by spending some time in Boston. And we're on the train, and she's like, "What do you want to eat?" And I look up at the sign that's all those advertisements, and I said, "Why don't we go to AU Bonpain?" And she gives me a look, and I'm like, I wouldn't know how to say it. I didn't take French.
I love it.
So from that point forward, it's always been AU Bonpain.
I love it. Are they still around anymore?
So I don't know if they've ever been in New Hampshire, but there's 2 locations in Massachusetts that were still around prior to COVID, because I went to one. One was in a hospital.
They used to have one up at Dartmouth Hospital. They had one because I know this because I was in the hospital when I was pregnant for 9 days. And about that time, your sense of smell gets heightened. I could smell like the yeast. I could smell the chemical, but I could also smell that, you know how bread smells when it's cooking, that good smell, but I could also smell like a chemically smell with it. And I was sitting there, my mom would sitting there, and I'm like, I smell it. I could tell when Au Bon Pain started making their bread in the morning, and I'm like, can you shut the door? And automatically she would smell it, and she'd start shutting the door. To this day, I still have it takes you back to that place when you smell bread.
Yes.
I still like that queasy, like, ooh.
And I used to get a bowl of cream of broccoli with 2 rolls, and I'd break up all the rolls, shove them in the soup so that all of the liquid get absorbed out. I would eat the pieces of broccoli, and then I would eat the cream-soaked bread.
I love it.
And that was my lunch every day for a while when I worked in Burlington, because there was one in the Burlington Mall.
Wow.
So between October and March, you can expect that's what I would be eating for lunch.
I don't like to eat the same thing all the time. And I'm also the type of person that I don't like to just eat one thing. Like, if you're going to serve dinner, like, it's just, a friend of mine used to make macaroni and cheese, and she'd put like all kinds of different stuff in it, and that was their meal. I'm like, I just feel like I need to have some other kind of a side dish, something.
Well, back in the day, I ate pizza or pancakes or Boston chicken or Chinese food or a Eubon
Sure.
pain. Like, I didn't have
AU.
a huge repertoire.
Yes, I didn't either.
Up until I started dating my husband, and he was like, okay, we need to eat other things. And he took me to real restaurants and I would get real food.
Yes, and you're
And-
like, oh.
And I never ate so much food as I did during those times. But because I was eating more real food, I actually lost weight.
Well, yeah, because it's all processed.
Mhm.
I mean,
The stuff I was eating was.
I still think that restaurant food, like their meats and stuff, are always they have preservatives in it.
Mhm.
Because we haven't had a steak out in a restaurant in a long time. Because we always make them really good at home, and I forgot where we were, and I got some steak tips, and you can taste the salt in it.
Mm-hmm.
So salty. And then we season our meat with a seasoning salt and let it sit and so that kind of tenderizes it, but it's still not the same.
When I think a few times I've had steak that was too salty, and I think, is this going bad? And you don't want me to taste that the meat is going bad? Why is this salty? And
Ooh, yeah.
one time I went to Del Frisco's and I got food poisoning, and I should have said, and it was that salt thing. I was like, I can barely eat the steak because it's so salty. And I didn't even. We went to a play. We went to Del Frisco's, and I almost didn't make it home. And I had said to my husband, I'm like, I am going to be violently sick. And he's like, oh,
Such
don't,
a bad
don't.
feeling.
He's like, can you make it home? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe thrown up at the side of your truck. But so I've been really hesitant. We went to the supposedly amazing place in Burlington. I forget the name of it. And everyone loved their steak, and my steak was so salty, I sent it back. I was just like, I'm not going to have it.
So did you end up getting something else, chicken? Or?
No, because by the time they came over to check if it was
Yeah.
okay, and then everyone else was done with their meal, and you kind of get that. When am I going to wait 45 minutes for them to make me something else? And now
yes.
it's a steak place. What am I going to get? So I ate the extra. I just had more of the
Salad.
sides.
Yeah.
No, the sides. Like I think it
My
was
French fries.
Yeah, we had some kind of lobster mac and cheese that was really good. So I just pounded a little bit more of that.
That sounds good. So on my way in this morning, I actually was like, man, did somebody change Main Street? Did somebody move the pylons back there? Because the congestion, once you turn onto Main Street, was less. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. I'm getting ready to make the turn. And this guy in a green Bronco, and I had my window down, and he has his window down, and I'm kind of turning as he's turning. So, and he's like, hey, hello. And I'm like, hey, hello back. And we've already passed each other. Then I come around here, and I'm, of course, coming in hot. And I'm, running in my heels down the sidewalk. And another guy says, hey, it looks like you're late for something. I look over, and there is Brian from Kinsley House of Pizza. And I said,
Not in our studio.
come in. He's like, I will. And he was saying something to me, and I'm like, so I got my eyes on you, boy. You need to
And you're
come
not
see
in our-
us.
And you're not in our studio, Brian. Where are you? Are you working? Are you working?
Are you working? Are you on your way to work? Actually, we love to just give him a hard time because he is a phenomenal human being. They have great pizza. It's such a great shop, and we want to get him in here, and so that you guys can meet him and know how great he is.
Right. But in the meantime, he's just working. Go see him at Kinsley House of Pizza.
Yes.
And we're going to have a showing at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
So do you want to grab lunch before we go?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can have a show. We have a showing at 1 and then 2:30.
And then 2:30, and then I have another one at 4.
Yes. So we have a busy day today.
Busy day. So
So.
do you know what is happening in the month of August? We have 2 major celestial things that are happening.
All right. Tell me what they are.
Mercury's going to be in retrograde.
Okay.
Not good.
I feel like we just got out of that.
I
Like,
know.
is there just like a small window? It's like New England summer.
So Mercury in
Retrograde.
Retro. is when it appears that the planets are going backwards, and then it feels like our lives are going backwards along with it.
I kind of feel like we're already in that. I think everybody's having a lot of issues with some just funky stuff.
Yeah, so I'm blaming the stars. And I saw this great thing on Instagram, and I posted it onto my sales page because you know how I love feng shui.
Yes.
It said, when I'm having I love feng shui because when I'm having a bad day, I like to know it's the credenzas' fault.
Yes.
I have someone to blame.
Absolutely.
The chair's in the wrong spot. Move that
Yes.
so my life can get back in order, please.
Absolutely.
And now we can blame the stars because Mercury is in retrograde. So when your technology doesn't work or you're fighting with your spouse, think, I don't hate them. I don't need to leave them. It's just Mercury's in retrograde.
Right.
And then the
It's the
Perseid
planets.
meteor shower.
Yes. And you sent me that, and I wanted to look it up and say where were the best times for our area.
Oh, guess when it is? It's for every menopausal woman in the New England area. When you are up between 2 and 4 a.m., go peek out at the stars because that's when they're going to be the most visual and the fastest. Like, there will be the most per hour. So it starts July 30th. They start streaming through. It's better to see them on moonless nights because you can see the stars better. And that's when the Perseid meteor is just skimming our atmosphere. And it is the best time to see it for us, according to the internet.
I wish I had known that because I was I was out of bed at 2:12 last
Don't
night.
worry, there'll be plenty of time for you to be out of bed
Yes.
at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. And then the day before, I was up at 4. So I was like, all right, here we go.
Oh, all day, every day. But at least you can see the magic of the night sky and see something really cool. So the next time I'm speaking to I'm speaking to everyone because I think everyone has that weird insomnia where you get up to go pee and then you can't fall asleep. And
Yes.
You're like, damn it! I want to be sleeping.
Well, my problem lately is I haven't been able to. It's not that I've had to go pee to get up. I'm just awake. Like all of a sudden, my eyes are awake, and I'm like, oh, we can start the day.
Yeah, my brain is awake.
Yeah, so I actually had to get out of bed, and last night was really hot. But then when you walk out of our bedroom and you walk into another room, and I went downstairs, I come back and it feels like the Arctic Circle in our bathroom and in our room. And I'm like, wow, how did I even think this was so hot? But I was just throwing the covers off and like, oh, it just, even something laying on the sheet was like, ugh, it was hot. So I went and checked the thermostat and it was like 68. I'm like, no, it's not hot.
It's not hot. It's just me. I'm hot.
It's just me.
It's just me. So I found a great comedian, the Irish comedian I was telling you about, and she has that beautiful lilting little accent, and she's a woman of a certain age, and she talks about the reason why women like gin so much and it's become so popular is because we're losing gin, we're losing estrogen, we're losing collagen. So replace all your gin loss with a gin and tonic.
Yes.
That was her joke. I really liked her, so I'll share her with you. She's really funny. I'll put her on our page. She's someone I really liked. And then I fell in love with this woman, and we won't go off on this tangent. We'll talk about this next time. But she is an ADHD coach. So if you have ADHD, she can help you. And I don't know. I must have said the word overwhelm somewhere in my life, and my phone was like, I've got you.
I got you.
And she put her in my feed on YouTube when I was going to look up my Bookstagram. And she was talking about, do you feel overwhelmed? And then she started talking about the neurodivergent brain.
I like neurodivergent.
I like that a lot, too. It apparently is.
I'm going to write that down because I like that. What we call that, our Tourette's moment was.
Rapid fire digressions.
I like that, too.
I really like that, too. I might start a YouTube channel with that. But
What is it called?
neurodivergent.
Oh.
And she said that when the reason why ADHD people have difficulty in certain situations is because their brain doesn't light up, one side to the other. They don't have these distinct lines, but their whole brain is lighting up,
Yes,
which makes it seem chaotic.
Yes.
But it's just a different way of processing. We all can't be linear thinkers, or we would just have engineers and every building would be straight and we would have no problem solved.
Yes.
The bridge would be from here to there, and that would be the only problem solved. It wouldn't be dinner different every dinner. You'd be eating a Ubon pain every single day because there's no creative person. So there's the creativity part that everything's lighting up. But one of the things she said that I thought was really interesting is that you can't do something that you're not interested in. So you have to trick your brain into being interested in things. And I thought, oh, that's disturbingly.
Yeah, it's like we have to play a game.
And it was like, oh, and the more things she said, I thought, do I have ADHD? And in a real sense. So I thought, I'm going to start looking that up, and we should have a show about that.
Yes.
And then I will introduce you to her. I'm going to see if she actually will come on the show because she was amazing. She was amazing. And then I had a client I haven't spoke to in a while, and he called yesterday, and I know he has ADHD, so I told him to watch it. He's like, I'll add that to my 722 other podcasts I listen to.
Yes, please do.
Please do. I'm like, you might get some benefit. I said, I listened to one, and then I said, I'm not going down this rabbit hole. But I did like that she called the brain neurodivergent. And I love neuroscience. And
I do too.
I was at the bookstore because I invited a bookseller from Barnes & Nobles to come on after our librarian next week. So Caitlin from Barnes & Noble in Nashua will be joining us next week for the second hour.
Awesome.
And I bought 7 books on physics. I'll bring them in when she comes in. Talk about
Nice.
them. Yeah.
Perfect.
So be prepared to have your brain massaged with wonderful information. in the next
Okay,
coming weeks.
so I have a question for you. Which letter in silent is which letter in silent is silent? Is it the S or C?
It's the N.
Silent.
Oh, it's the K. It's the K. No, it's
Silent. S-I-L. Which letter? I wrote it wrong. I got to read my thing.
So, like, I think of the word night, K-N-I-G-H-T. We don't say knigget unless you're a Monty Python fan. Then you say knigget.
Okay, which letter? I got it. I read it wrong. See, that's where you don't have glasses. That's why you need your glasses.
I'm ready. Grab me.
Which letter is silent in the word scent? S or C?
Ooh.
Scent.
S.
It has to be.
Yeah, because for scent.
Yeah.
Not
Because if you say
S.
that's 2 cents. Or do you actually say, when people say, oh, they give you 2 quarters back. Hey, like, how much change do you have? Do you have 50 cents or do you have 50 cents?
I have 50 cents.
I
Because
know.
50 Cent is a rapper.
Yes.
In the club. Does he sing in
With
the
a
club?
bottle full of Bob.
Nope.
Oh, I don't know. That
We
you're
have
going to mess
Google.
us up.
Let's see. I have it on my playlist, so I can just look up it really quickly. So yeah, that was interesting. I was thinking silent word letters. We don't say knife. We don't say knigget. We don't say knight. Yeah, 50 Cent is in the club.
Yes.
And 50 Cent said he is voting for Donald Trump because he doesn't want to be 25 Cent.
I love it. Love it. Love it.
I thought that was
I love
And
it.
I was like, oh, they're so funny.
They are funny.
Well, they have such a good play with words. Writers,
Yes.
Musicians, poetry, people who write poetry. They have that, 3 words that just
Yes.
explains the whole thing. I thought that was
Yes.
funny.
Yes. All right, I have another one for you.
I'm ready.
In a movie theater, which armrest is yours?
Neither. No, it's the one John's not on. Whatever side John is on, he gets the armrest.
But if you're by yourself and there's 2 other people beside you, 2 strangers beside you, which one is yours?
I'm a double.
I am a double too, but I'm on the back double.
Yes.
I'm on the back end. I don't
Yes.
I don't put them way up here.
You're not invading Russia.
Yes.
With this kind of stance.
I also feel like when you're in the middle in the airplane, I think both of those armrests should be yours
I agree.
because you guys
Make it
have
a law.
one. Yeah.
Make it a law.
Or at least like we all should all have a conversation. If it's a 3-seater, we should all have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to stay to the left and keep on your aisle? Because I hate when these, and I think I've already had my, my grouch session. I really wanted to say the B word, but I didn't.
Good job.
My grouch session because I'm little, I always get stuck in the middle. Like even when my ticket says I've got the aisle or I've got the window, like, oh, we'll just automatically sacrifice her. Let's put her in the middle. Like, wait, I don't care if you're a big dude. That's not my problem. It's not your problem that I'm little. But every time I get in there, like there's 2 people, there's 2 big dudes sitting right there and like taking them arm space. And I'm like, dude. Or, and guys sit, when they sit with their knees out. Like, so their knee, I can't get to the stuff I put in my pocket.
I do think that they should make planes the size that men could fit in them, though.
I agree.
Because they look like they're giving birth to themselves, and they're the least flexible group of people.
Yes.
For the most part. I mean, I know there's guys who go to yoga, and you're all amazing.
Yeah, but not naturally. Their hips are made differently.
Yeah, they're not
than
made to
ours.
give
They can't
childbirth.
splay out like ours do. Like,
On purpose.
right.
Biology-wise.
Like, we might be getting in deep water right there. And I'm like, no pun intended.
So it's really funny because I was looking up some stuff because we were going to talk today about
Body image.
and I was like, what do guys think about body image? So I got a couple of men's magazines,
Oh.
and One of the articles was about the guy who does all the stunts for Chris Hemsby. I don't know, someone who's an Avenger or someone who's a famous person everyone knows but me because I refuse to acknowledge the Avengers series. But I think
Hemsworth?
I've had yes, perfect. I'm tired of Hollywood making comic books exclusively. Like, it feels like big box office is 3 different movies or the same movies or just the Avenger series of comic books. I feel like, are there no other stories to tell?
I think there's a lot of stories to tell. I think they should go,
I think they should branch out.
They should go to the library.
Yes, they should go to the bookstore.
Yes.
They have money. They don't need to be getting free books from the library.
Well, we are going to be talking about that
Next
one
week.
of them next week, which was really, I liked that one. I thought it was really good.
But what he was saying was that CGI is obviously trying to take over, but he does the stunts of falling from buildings and doing all of this, and that he tore his basically groin 75%, and then he slipped in the shower and tore it the other 25%.
Oh, no. That's not good. That's never good.
I was thinking that's what made me think of the hip splaying thing. But I do think reading. So I've always been a person who's read the women's health magazines, and then I read the men's health magazines because they're lying to us. They're telling us
Yes.
both different things.
Yes.
And what I've come to realize is now they're lying to them too. They're making them just as much of head cases about them not being good enough as we are. They do it in a slightly different way,
Yes. Subtly.
but they've shifted.
At the end of the day, I think, everything that you listen to on a platform, it's all marketing, except for us.
Yes, but now, so one of the big things was Ozempic,
Yes.
and what a women's magazine will talk about in Ozempic is completely different than what a man's.
Really? So I would be interesting to see what Ozempic said for men's.
So they talked about loss of muscle mass
Oh.
as a real consideration and how to offset this. Where women talked about chronic health concerns at a later date, the fact that when you're off Ozempic, you will regain, several women told their stories that they regained all the weight they lost. And the women's side talked about how there is just this never-ending storyline that you're never thin enough and you're never good enough. And did you just have a baby? You should still be a size 2.
Yes.
All the different, are you menopausal? You should still be a size 2. All of these different, you don't look good enough state, where the men, they were concerned with more, I guess muscle mass is a thing for men too, though, on how men look good, how we regard what men look like. We don't, I guess our desire for body image on a man and a woman is completely different. What is the ideal male body image according to society?
I don't know. Mine would be definitely over 6 feet, dark hair, great skin, just athletic, toned.
Hairy? No hair.
A little bit. Not I don't want to rub my fingers through my chair, through your chest and snag my ring, or my fingers get caught in the.
You'd be like, sorry,
in the mass. Or just be able to pat him, and it's like a sponge, you're just pushing down on the foam. Not that much. Just a light sprinkling.
Yeah. Okay.
So that would be mine. But definitely trim the armpit hair. I hate when they raise their arms, and it's especially when they're hot, it comes into 3 little strings. It's like the Dolomites, or stalagmites.
Stalagmites and stalactites. Yes.
The ones that come down from the cave. Dolomites is Italy in the mountains.
Don't look like you're a Bermuda cave in your armpits.
Right. Oof, boy.
Yeah. Blow them dry at the air dryer in the bathroom.
So before we get on to that, I wanted to say something this morning. The other day I had this thought, and I was just replaying the party that we had at our house, and I had a surreal moment. you know, you guys are leaving and we're standing outside. We're standing outside, you know, doing the thing, the hostess thing, and like waving goodbye and seeing you off. And I'm watching you guys, you know, get your helmet, you know, get on the bike and get everything situated and put away. And then I'm just thinking, like, just what a beautiful, I'm living in the beautiful moment of like the energy of the night and all of the stuff. And I was like, man, I just love them. And I had this moment of like, it felt like when you waved, and like, when you waved, I had this picture in my head. It felt like we were teenagers. And I was like, there's my best friend. And she's climbing on the back of her bike with her guy. And they're driving off into the sunset. And I was like, it just made me feel like teenagers. And it's just like, I don't know. It was just like, it was such a great moment. And I'm like, here we are at 50-ish. And we're in
a certain age.
Yeah. Certain age.
We are of a certain age.
29 plus.
You don't know what that age is. It's just a certain age.
Right. Just a certain level. But I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking about, man, I still have that same feeling as a teenager. It was almost like, I don't know, a little bit rebellish. Like we're just, I don't know. We've all been hanging out and having a little pool party and you guys saying goodnight. And we're like, see you later. And, you know, it's just a cool moment. And I was like, that's cool. I love just stopping in, like what you were talking about, making a mental picture. Mm-hmm. And how much that feeling changed my energy level about that. And so like, I wrote it down, like that's one of the memories that I still want to save. And I'm like, there's one thing that I love about my friendship with you is I don't ever feel an age. I don't ever feel an age. I just feel alive. I feel vibrant. I feel like it's fun. It's however it is. I don't feel like I found somebody that doesn't want to live in a stereotype.
You know how I hate labels.
Right. The same way I do. Like,
Yeah.
and I love that. And it just made me appreciate it. Like, yeah, you could be any age doing that. And like,
well, I think that's why when we found each other, it became this instant friendship.
yes.
So some friendships are built over time and over experience. Those are amazing as well. But ours was this instantaneous identification of something similar. Good, like I would say the goodness in you, that there's a wholesomeness to you, but not in a wholesomeness that I can't swear in front of you,
Right.
or you won't have a drink, or, you know, not this, but this wholesomeness of like, you only want the good
Yes.
for the people around you and for the people that you love. You only want the best.
Yes.
And there was no, so that instantaneousness of like a soul finding another soul, like you had been lost. Like I was looking for you. Oh, there you are. I was looking for you. Because I almost
Yes.
felt like I already knew you.
Yes, that's how I felt.
And
I
so
feel like there's a lot of, I feel like we have a lot of the same values and the same intentions, wanting to put good out and wanting to love on people.
and our fascination with beauty, like everything has to have this beautiful element to it.
Yes.
So I think that, so I love that because now I will think of that too, you know. And I think there is this eternal youth thing with motorcycles for some reason.
Yeah.
There are guys who cannot walk. They have a cane, they're bent over, but they get on a bike and they are instantly 10 years younger,
Yes.
instantly 15 years younger. And you're thinking, can you hold that up? That bike weighs 900 pounds. They can. They will manage.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how if you find something that you love to do that brings you a certain amount of joy, how that joy is timeless.
Yes. Yes.
You can be 7 or you can be 70.
Yes.
That part of you that lives,
Yes.
that can play in that space, is eternal.
And I think one of the things that attracts me to you is that energy. It's always wanting to find the joy and finding the good and wanting to create memories and have experiences. And I think that that's rare because a lot of people are, I can't do this, or I have a doctor's appointment, so that's not going to work out, or I've got this today, or I don't really feel like doing that. We just make a lot of excuses instead of, I don't know why maybe that's not the right terminology, like making excuses, but we just stay stuck. We don't want to expand. And one of the things I feel about you is that you're always looking to grow. You're always looking to expand and have experiences.
Well, I think some of it is you're afraid as a child for whatever reason. And instead of gaining experience in which you've overcome some fear as an adult, you almost even could get more afraid.
Yes.
Because all of a sudden, I think there's many adults who would say they feel like we don't have control over anything and we're not doing anything properly. You know, we're not fixing any of the problem. Who's going to fix this problem?
Right.
Me?
Right.
Me? You're not expecting me to fix this problem, are you? And I think there's, and then all of a sudden you have children and you're supposed to all of a sudden have all the answers, but you're still the person who's like, wait a second.
Yes.
And then there are the people who know everything.
Yes.
Because God forbid for a second they're in that unknown, uncontrolled,
yes,
fearful place. They would crawl in a ball, and I don't blame them.
Yeah.
That spot is
or they
frightening.
take over the whole, their energy takes over and now they've become the expert in it. You know, you've shared something with them, and or the experience can't just be the experience. It's like, I have to be the one that's orchestrated this, or it has to be my thought, or it has to be my, I don't know. And I feel like you lose some of the beauty in it instead of allowing it to just unfold. And
yeah, one of the things I think age, again, this is reading a woman's magazine versus a men's magazine. They asked a man what it was like about getting older, and he says, there's some things that aren't, I wish wouldn't happen. Yeah, your body changes or whatever. But the other thing is, about getting older is you gain wisdom. When you ask a woman about getting older, she's afraid. This wisdom.
Yes.
She's not doing wisdom.
yes.
The
one thing I like about going to another level
It's like a video game.
Yes.
I'm on the next screen. I'm at the other level.
Is that mental aspect of it. Like, I can, I could get down on myself about, wow, I've seen the way my body's changed,
And it's like this inevitable.
Yes, my wrinkles, like the way my body's changing. I could get into all of that stuff, but one of the things, like, why it doesn't serve me. One of the things I do like is how my mindset has changed and developed, and how I don't attach to things the same way mentally. And I do feel like there is beauty in that wisdom of, you care less about what other people think. You learn to trust yourself more. And the things that you find interesting are changing too.
Right, because hopefully you've had enough of the superficial stuff early enough on.
Yes.
That now you're like, I think that's kind of boring. I need more substance. And then I think you realize, I'm only on this planet for such a short period of time. There is so much to explore and experience.
Yeah, so I think as you get older, you start clearing out all the garbage in your head and actively choosing, this is what's going to occupy that space in my brain. This is what's going to, this is what I'm going to focus on. And so
one gift I wish I could always give women specifically, because men don't seem to have this issue as much as, getting older. Visually,
Yes.
not physically,
Yes.
but visually. I don't think men like losing their strength. I think that has to feel
and their hair.
right. I think that's a very real thing. But one of the things that I wish I could give women is, there are so many women who, when I was younger, they would complain about their wrinkles. And at the time, I remember always saying, I wish you could see yourself in my eyes. Because what I see about you is laughter or joy or that smiling, that is those wrinkles, right, is also a timeline of a life well lived.
Yes.
Or your humor.
Yes.
You know, all the laughing I do with you and how that does not even register. I wish you could see that. I wish you could see yourself through my eyes. So what I have to try to remind myself is when I'm getting in the mirror with my glasses on, because one of the benefits of losing your eyesight as you get older is you don't see them as deeply. You put on your glasses, you're like, oh no.
You're like, I don't need makeup today. I look great.
You get out in the sunshine. Oh no.
A little bit of lipstick and I'm good.
And I do think when I was younger, my mother always used to say, she actually would not allow me to wear anything but mascara and lip gloss for a while.
Oh, that's good.
Because she wanted me, she's like, you're going to ruin your skin. You're going to clog it all up and you don't have, bad skin. So just enjoy your skin. But now that I'm older, you can't wear makeup because it sits in the wrinkles. You have to be very judicious with that because you're just, accentuating wrinkles here and there. But
yes.
one of the things that was different in what the men were commenting on was they would take their experience over youth any day. Because one of the gentlemen said, I would rather fight a 28-year-old in the prime of his life and his fitness than a 48-year-old scrapper who's lived. Because, that there was the experience that I have and that I've gained is so much more than some muscle and some brawn.
Yes.
And, I don't think not that a woman's going to fight a man or a woman's going to fight another woman, but would we pick our 48-year-old selves over our 28-year-old selves? And I do because I don't want to live through the other times again. Who wants to live through that again? Once was enough.
Well, see,
we survived.
My first thought was, well, why not both? I just do. I literally, on my tombstone, it should be, what's next? And why not both? I just, because I'm like, and actually, I feel like I'm living it right now. I feel like when I say why not both? Because I was thinking about this the other day. I know we joke about feeling like sometimes we're anywhere between 12 and 80.
102.
Yes. But for the most part, I feel like I walk around. I feel like how I see myself is like a 30-year-old-ish. If I had to go back and think about it, like the energy that I put out, the energy, how I dress, how I behave, I feel like it's more somewhere between, if I had to put a number on it, I feel like I feel more like I'm a 30-year-old. Not act, I feel more like I'm a 30-year-old. How old do you feel? Like on a day-to-day basis?
When I'm not feeling 16 mentally, sometimes I feel like I have the interest. Because I was very interested in everything.
Yes.
At 16 to 20. Everything was interesting. Every person had something interesting to say. I had that interest. So sometimes there's moods when I have that. But I would say 38. Because 38, I feel like I stopped for a while there between 30 and 35. If one more person called me nice, I was going to stab them.
I felt like that when they say, you're so cute.
So, and I don't like nice because it was so vanilla bland, first off. And it wasn't kind. Kind would have been a different word. I would have accepted kind. But nice felt like you could take advantage of real quick. And I felt like I was riling against the world to take advantage of me.
Yeah.
And there was that. I'm going to put a microphone on you.
I know. Come on, girl. Let's get a microphone on here.
We have someone in the studio doing something interesting.
We have a very special guest, and she
doesn't want to be part of it, but then she makes.
I can leave.
No,
she
you
has
stay.
a beautiful dress.
No, you stay.
And a beautiful smile.
You stay.
And I feel like she's got some good stories.
Yeah. So I do think that there was that time where I was like, I don't want to be seen as nice. Not that I wanted to be seen as formidable.
Yes.
But I wanted to stop being discounted.
Yeah.
And I think there were many times when I would have something to say and I was just discounted.
I still feel like I still feel that way. But I care less and less about, okay, okay. That's the difference. And so that's where I feel like somewhere in between. So my energy feels like I feel the energy of what I feel like it would be 30. Like I have, you know, vibrant, energized, like, okay, I can wear what I want. I can do what I want. I
You
feel
feel like
how
you
I
have that
want.
kind of energy to run up the stairs?
Yes.
Oh, good. Some days I feel like someone bring
I
me
mean,
up the
some days I
stairs.
don't, but I do. And like yesterday, I got home. I was just kind of, I was tired. I mean, we spent a lot of emotional energy yesterday, and the day before, I spent a lot of emotional energy. And I was like, I want to take
We've
a nap.
there are weeks that you are the bug, and there are weeks that you are the windshield. And this week we have been buggish.
Yes.
And yesterday we had enough, and we had a small meltdown because we were like, all right,
Yes.
enough.
Yeah. And I think it was beautiful. We cried together. You know, a couple of people like, hey, you guys all right? Yeah, we're good.
And then we had that really good laugh. And then we had
Yes.
that really good laugh
Yes.
in the middle of the crying.
But for the most part, I feel like, I feel that young, vibrant energy. And so yesterday, I was like, I'm just going to lay down. I'm going to read my book for a little bit. Like, I really want to take a nap. I think I got like 2 pages. I got 2 pages, and then my eyes were nodding off. And I was like, okay, it's got to be like an hour. No, it was 15 minutes. I got home, and I was like, dang it. Anyway, so I decided that, so I went out and I was, picking some deadheads off of my flowers and just trimming some stuff up, and I watered some plants, and it's kind of like my son came outside and he's sitting outside, and I'm like, oh, it looks like it's going to rain. He's like, I got some friends coming over. They're going to get in the pool. And I'm like, well, I'd committed to myself. I'm going to swim every day. I'm like, well, it's now or never. I've done some weeding. I've gotten hot. I'm going to get in. I started doing it, and it literally, the sky lets loose. It is pouring. And I'm like, I'm still swimming.
Yeah, because you're wet anyways.
I'm already wet. I'm like, it was a black sky. And I'm like,
as long as there's not lightning, you're
and
fine.
I had my goggles on, my head's under the water. So I'm like, if it lightnings, just come to the door or do something, get my attention and I'll get out. But then it passed, and it ended up being beautiful. And I was like, actually got out of the pool. And like, I'm glad I kept my word to myself. It made me feel good. And then I felt good too. And I felt energized. I think for me, sometimes when I get in a funk, what I've learned about me is that I need to move my body. And helping me move my body helps that energy get out, because I feel like if I don't get that energy out, I feel irritable. That my line gets shorter and shorter for it to be crossed. It gets closer and closer to my toes. Right. So I feel like moving that energy around helps just to ground me and calm me back down and be like, okay.
So I find that depression is a liar, and that it tells you don't move yet.
Yes.
And what you need to be doing is moving.
Yes.
Action. The antidote to depression is movement, is action.
Yes.
But the way you feel in depression is that you just need to hold still, that you don't have the energy to move. And so it's really hard for people to sum up the amount of energy and motivation to do that. But then it also has that component of, giving your brain some dopamine, giving your brains, or maybe it's not dopamine, maybe it's serotonin. I don't know. Whichever one it is. Any of epinephrine, adrenaline, all of that stuff. It moves everything around. It starts moving your blood around. And I use exercise as a mental health component. But what I have to say is that I've been working out too. I've been doing my and I'm not doing anything crazy, because then I'm going to be too sore to work out. So I'm very not sore every day, just a little tiny bit sore. I feel like I went in the dryer, like all my muscles are just shrunk, around everywhere. But it's amazing how 3 or 4 days of working out in a row, and you look in the mirror like, why aren't I looking better? I feel better. I feel like I look better.
Yes.
In my mind, but my body is not looking better. Why isn't it this instantaneous thing? And that's one thing I think about body image is, how would we measure success if we weren't measuring the scale? what measurements of success would we have if
How
you're
you
not
feel.
using this? How you feel?
I think it's, ultimately it comes down, and it's funny that you say that because my husband and I are going through a book exercise right now. It says, I think the book is called Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And it's really, there's a lot of good information in it, but if you had to take it down to a singularity, it's about learning to love yourself. And it's it's showing you, and we've said it multiple times on many shows about our mindset. Our mindset is everything. In doing these little tricks, like, how young do you feel? Like me sharing that now. Asking ourselves, how do you feel? And if the answer to that question is not a good one, nothing that is positive or taking care of yourself, ask yourself the next question. How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel?
I do think there's a little bit like the other last week when it was beginning, when the nightmare was beginning. I remember thinking, and I don't even have the mental energy to be able to solve. They were very small problems, relatively.
Yes.
They were just my problems at the moment. But I was having such a reaction to them that I thought, honey, what's the matter? As if I was 6, and then I could just imagine, like, I want a cookie, And then I said to myself, when was the last time I had carbohydrates? Because I had been doing a lot more, because when you're working out, you're supposed to have more protein. And so there's only so much food you can eat. So I was eating a lot of protein. And I thought, when did I have any carbohydrates? And I made a big bowl of pasta. And I covered it in fresh pesto from my garden. And I ate it. And I was like, that was so good. I'm going to have 2 bowls of pasta.
Yes.
And I did. I was like, are you eating a well-balanced diet? And I don't even really care about protein and carbohydrates as much as, are you having enough nutritional value? Are you having enough iron? Sometimes when I feel really down, I'm iron poor. But if you're not feeling well, have you been sleeping well? Have you been eating well? Did you have enough to drink? Not alcohol. I know that makes us feel better.
Right.
But like water. Are you drinking enough
For the
water? Are you hydrated? Because sometimes dehydration leads to headache and it's really hot out. So have you been, and it's sometimes, and then have you just been sitting behind the desk at work or standing behind the counter at work and you haven't moved enough? Because you can almost feel a little bit like a caged animal. Like when you
That's me.
if you have a cat and they're looking at the birds and then they attack your feet, you know why? Because they've got to get all that energy out. So when you're too sedentary, you need to move around to make yourself feel better. But 50% of emotional regulation comes from those physical things.
Yes. Yes.
But I think as adults, we put so much into these bigger, higher things that we forget sometimes fundamental things.
And a lot of times it's just micro shifts. It's little tiny micro things, recognizing how you feel. And I know that when I'm in negative energy and I'm feeling down, I'm not in a good place, I know that I'm not taking care of those things. I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm not getting enough proper nutrition. I'm not getting enough exercise.
I'm not getting enough laughter.
So basically, I'm saying I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not doing enough to love on me. I'm not doing a lot, so if we can go back, we can just check off the things like, okay, so how do I want to feel? And so find out how you want to feel. I want to be happy. I want to be excited. I want to be vibrant. And now you start acting that way.
Yeah. What do you need to do to get there?
Yes. And so part of those things, getting the right amount of sleep, loving on yourself. What are the things that you can do to love on yourself? So now acting it, they say, now you're acting it. So maybe it's not coming naturally, but the more that you practice that feeling, it's going to become natural for you.
I joke that the only lies we really tell are to ourselves.
Yes.
But there are good lies we need to tell ourselves. And sometimes lying at the beginning gets us where we need to be. So
yes,
running again. I'm going I'm running very short distances because I don't have enough stamina to run. So I'm running hill. I just put on my treadmill hill, and I just go up, and I just keep going up the hill until it's over, and then I walk back down the hill. But I tell myself I can.
Yeah.
I'm lying. I can't yet.
Right.
Really, I can't yet. And at some point I have to walk.
But you're building that action. Action creates desire. Desire creates belief, and it keeps going in that circle. And if you take the action is, I think I can do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell myself I'm going to do it.
Then you believe. Then at some point you do, and then you can believe you do.
Yes.
So it comes from, I think, those lies you can do for yourself. Having to get up and give a speech in front of a group of people is very nerve-wracking to have eyes on you. And you think, I can't do this. Think, I can do this. I'm going to kill this.
Yes.
I have got this. I'm talking about the thing that I know better than anybody. Because we have a woman coming on. She is a doctor. She also owns a Medi-Spa. And I know she was working with people with Ozempic. And I said, we're talking about body image, and I would love for you to come on and actually, as a doctor, talk about this.
Yes, I'd love it.
Because she was interviewed for a magazine, and what she had said, because I've heard her say it a million times, is people overestimate how many calories they burn working out, and they underestimate how many calories they eat.
Yes.
But what they totally bastardized that in the article to saying the doctor says you don't need to work out.
Right.
Whatever it was so wrong from the thing. And she, she brings the article. I'm like, oh, great. You were in the magazine. She goes, they did not say what I said. Yeah. So I wanted her to come on. So she's going to come on and talk about it from a doctor's perspective.
What day is she on?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. She said she might have to do a Friday afternoon.
Oh, yeah, we'll do it. Definitely.
But she actually helps people get in better shape because she knows being extremely overweight isn't healthy. So her perspective is not, oh, you need to lose your last 10 pounds. Let me give you Ozempic. Because that's what Hollywood has been using it for.
Yes.
And then the rest of the world used it for.
Yeah, so I got some good facts. I got some good fun facts. We'll have to get into that. We'll be talking about that more. But some of the things that micro shifts, like I don't do that. You like, I'm going to climb the hill. And even though I don't, sometimes it's just little things.
Well, I can only do 2 miles. So I'm like, what am I going to do in 2 miles?
True.
I'm going to
How much damage can I do in 2 miles?
Right. I can't have any cookies on 2 miles. I'm going to do a hill.
Well, I started training myself. I love sweets. I love chocolate chip cookies and out of the oven. And when I was trying to lose baby weight, I got a recumbent bike. And, I would read my book and I would bike and I would not get off of that bike until I had burned enough calories for 2 cookies. I started doing that. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to reward myself. And then I just thought, you know what? I bet I can go 5 more minutes.
Stay tuned. You are listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic every Thursday from 10 to noon on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and on WSMN.live. We're going to go to the top of the hour. We will be back shortly where we continue to talk about body image.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
This is a special report from ABC News. Americans freed from Russia. I'm Sherry Preston. 2 Americans coming home from Russian detention. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gerskovich and former Marine Paul Whelan exchanged as part of a Russian prisoner swap. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze has more from the White House.
President Biden has said he has been fighting every day to try to bring these Americans who've been wrongfully detained in Russia home. So what we know right now, we are told that they have agreed to a prisoner swap that includes the release of Evan Gerskovich and Paul Whelan. And those are, of course, 2 of the most high-profile Americans who have been wrongfully detained.
A year ago, after her brother had been held for 4 months, Evan Gerskovich's sister Danielle said her family was trying to remain strong.
I don't know how he's staying so brave, but it means I have to stay brave for him, too. Both
Gerskovich and Whelan had been convicted of espionage, charges they and the U.S. government deny. This is ABC News. Evacuation orders still in effect in Northern California with a park fire now twice the size of New York City. Here's ABC's Melissa Adon.
Governor Newsom declaring a state of emergency as several wildfires burn across the state. Here in Chico, we're at a command center. This is where nearly 6,000 fire personnel have set up to battle the park fire. It is a historic wildfire, already considered the 5th largest in California's history. It has scorched over 600 square miles and is 18% contained. Now, thousands are evacuated. The blaze destroying more than 400 homes or businesses.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer planning to introduce the No Kings Act today. It would lay out that presidents do not have immunity for criminal acts, an attempt to undo last month's Supreme Court decision. And two major rivals are teaming up. Nissan and Honda say they have a deal to share components for electric vehicles and will work together on software for self-driving cars. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Everyone on the road is trying to make it to their destination safely. You can help by staying aware of the large trucks and buses around you. They take longer to stop, have large blind spots, and make wide turns that require caution from other drivers. It takes all of us working together to share the road safely. Learn more at www.sharetheroadsafely.gov. Paid for by FMCSA.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
I am Elena Dries, nurse practitioner at Altrix Primary Care, located right here in Nashua, New Hampshire at 57 Northeastern Boulevard. At Altrix Primary Care, we are dedicated expert nurse practitioners who provide high-quality, comprehensive primary care services for people of all ages, from newborns to older adults. Our nursing model of care is distinctive because it's unhurried, high-personalized, easily accessible healthcare for you and your family. Visit us online at altrixpc.com/Nashua or give us a call at 603-821-4009. That is 603-821-4009. Altrix Primary Care, changing the future of primary care for you and your family.
Have you tried to quit drinking before, and much to your surprise and dismay, you couldn't? Have you tried therapy, meetings, and treatment programs, but still can't seem to stay stopped? Or maybe you live in fear that you'll lose your job, your home, or your family, and much more if you don't get this figured out, and soon. Well, there is hope. My name is Bill Nielsen, and I'm the founder of Nascent 24 Recovery and Life Coaching. And I struggled for over a decade. Yup, 10 years, trying to get it right. I lost jobs, 5 6-figure jobs in fact, homes, friends, relationships. I thought I'd never get off the merry-go-round or the roller coaster, but I did, and I've developed a proven proprietary process that works. Why does it work? Because it addresses the root cause and not the symptoms. No more Band-Aids on bullet wounds. It's a 12-week journey that will transform your entire life, not just the drinking thing. I work one-on-one with every single client, and your privacy and anonymity are paramount. The great part is that you don't have to leave your home, your job, or your family. Text me the word recovery to 203-241-1266. That's 203-241-1266. Or visit my website, nascent24.com, NASCENT24.com. There is a solution. Take the first step. You won't regret it.
Hi Nashua, I'm Perry Cataldo from Choice Benefit Services, your local insurance agent that has dedicated himself to all the Medicare plans in New Hampshire. Whether you're just turning 65, new to Medicare, or already have a plan, I'll explain all your Medicare options and extra benefits that you hear so much about. I ensure you're getting all you're entitled to and all that you deserve. Nashua, don't get fooled again this year. Call Perry Cataldo at 603-461-5550. That's 603-461-5550. Or visit me online at cbsnh.com. That's cbsnh.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And remember, health is wealth.
Are you wondering, how can my business expand its reach? Or how can I support music and arts in my community? Well, I'm glad you asked. My name is Cody, and I'm from the Nashville Community Music School, and I'm here to talk about all the wonderful opportunities to partner with us. Whether you want to become a VIP table sponsor of our biggest concert event of the year, Play It Forward, or by joining our band of donors by donating only $5 a month, we'd love to be able to speak with you and show how we can partner to make music accessible to all. Give us a call at 603-881-7030 or shoot us an email at info@nashuacms.org.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn, on the mic.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. I almost strangled myself with the cord, the headphone cord. Welcome back to the second hour. We are talking a little body image, a little bit getting older.
Yes.
Getting into life in the real kind of like in the thick of it.
Well, our special guest, she just said, she had made a point. She was sharing with us, we talk about how, clothes are always important to us and we dress how we feel. And I just said to you, sometimes I'm not that hard on myself. Like, I'm going to get on the treadmill and I'm going to walk 2 miles uphill. No, sometimes it's just a little shift. And because clothes make me feel good, and especially if I'm not feeling good about my body or myself, sometimes I'll go in the closet and I will put on outfits, or I'll put on dresses, or I'll just put on things that I feel like are beautiful. And then I go and look in the mirror, and so I'm actually loving on myself. I'm like, oh, that's really cute, or just little things. And it's actually, I walk away from it feeling better. So sometimes it's just little things, things that you like to do. If it's even gardening, go out and tend your flowers, or if it's, for guys, I don't know what you would do like that for dressing, or, groom your beard, go and
trim
put
your
some
underarm hair.
Yes. Or let your wife do it for you.
It's really funny.
Let her manscape you.
I trim the back of my husband's neck. So it's an even line.
Yeah, Chris won't let me touch his hair.
Right. And sometimes I'll just go down a little bit. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, we don't want this fur to come out. You look like a bear from Chernobyl. Just like a patch here and a patch. I'm like, let me just take care of this with the buzzers.
Yes.
And
I know I always like, I will shave sometimes, and sometimes I'll clean up my, sometimes Chris lets me clean up his hairline after he's got it trimmed, and sometimes then I'll do my son's too, just because it irritates me when it's grown. I'm like, hey, you want me to do that for you?
Yes.
And he's like, yes.
I love that crisp line.
Yeah. But a lot of times I'll go down and there's like a couple little a couple little wild ones up down there on the shoulders, and I'm like, ksh, ksh. Oh, I'm so sorry.
And that's what always when my spouse is like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, you look like a bear from Chernobyl. Let me get these.
At least not like it's.
I love you. Let me get these.
At least it's not like they're trying to hide a fur vest under the T-shirt. You don't want that stuff poking up under the collar.
So when we joked around that the band name would be Trench Mouth, and that was so perfect because we both have a dental history working in dental office.
Teeth and mouth are very important
for both of us.
Yes.
And we both have that in our history. And I thought that was so funny. When I worked at the dentist office, he had hair that would grow up outside of the shirt. So when he would lean over, I'd always think, someone needs to trim that. If you love him, trim that.
Yes, it's like the old werewolf movie, and he's like busting out of his, he's busting out of his skin and his werewolf's coming out.
Laser is for men, too.
Laser.
So percentage of Americans that are overweight.
I got you on this. So according to the WHO, 2.8 million people die every year from being overweight and obese. Worldwide obesity kills 4.72 million annually. It's 8% of the globe. 5 million people died prematurely in 2019 from obesity. Here's a little fun fact, and I'm going to get dark, negative, so controversial. COVID-19 killed 1.8 million per... Oh, wait, let me go back.
Maybe the glass is on.
Oh, wait. So as of April 13th, 2024, COVID tracker is no longer being updated. It was unfeasible. So on their website, 7,010,681 people died over 4 years. So if you break that down, it's 1.8 million per year. So obesity still kills, like, what everybody was getting crazy about, like it's going to, COVID's going to wipe everybody out of the planet and, we're going to rush to get these people's vaccines and all that stuff. And I just thought it was interesting. Like literally, it's still less overall. 5 million people a year die from it.
So what's interesting is there's a magazine that I read. It's called Experience Life, and I've been reading it for a long time. I haven't been able to find it recently, but over 10 years ago, they were talking about the fact that Alzheimer's should be called diabetes 3. Because they said there's such a negative association, such a high association of sugars in the blood and plaque in the brain. And this was with science more than a decade ago of what they were finding. And then I've read that more and more over the years. And I don't think I think there's this whole push that we shouldn't fat shame, right? My nephew doesn't like my stomach. He has told me. Right? Yes. That is fat shaming, right? No, it's not fat shaming. He's a nephew and he's 5. But he's not getting cookies after that.
Right.
I'm only teasing him. He gets whatever he wants. But we talk about fat shaming as a negative thing. And of course, no one wants to be shamed, about the way their body looks. But not being able to talk openly about weight also makes us not be able to talk openly about serious health conditions that come from not having a healthy weight. And one of the things that I think is a big problem in the United States is I had a friend who had a heart attack, and I think I've told the story before. And I was in the hospital when a cardiologist came in and said to him, "So did you have any indicators that, you were going to have this heart attack?" And he said, "No." He said, "No." And he was, in his head, under the doctor's care and everything was fine because he was on high blood pressure pills. He was on diabetes medicine. So he was taking the magic pill that was supposed to fix all these things, and he had a heart attack. And the cardiologist said, all of these are indicators you were going to have a heart attack. But we don't talk about that way. We have a magic pill for that.
Right.
Do you have high blood pressure? We have a pill for that. Do you have diabetes? We have a pill for that. So Ozempic has turned into we have a pill for that in the diabetes world. And then everyone took that into, well, we just have now weight loss. And of course, with every pill, there are side effects. And everyone is kind of dismissing the side effects because, well, I want to be thin.
Right.
And some people
I have it pulled
should
up here.
use something like that because you are at risk for so many other health concerns that, yes.
It's the number one, it's one of the leading causes of death because it is attributed to, a stroke, heart attack, all kinds of cardiovascular diseases. What I thought was interesting is what I found out. Well, there's one article that talks about retailers and plus size fashion makers may have contributed to the normalization of being overweight. Again, I said it earlier at the first hour about it's all marketing. They're talking about it, but in a lot of times, now because of the way our healthcare system is set up, they push pharmaceuticals before they will push
lifestyle change.
Absolutely. And that's marketing. It's marketing.
So one of the things I thought was really interesting about the Ozempic drug is that I've never heard anyone talk about this, and I've heard a number of people talk about the drug, is that what is an Ozempic baby? There are reports of women falling pregnant unexpectedly despite taking the birth control pill. And they believe, but they're not quite sure, that GLP-1 affect the absorption of other medications, which may also be contraceptives. And why this may be a concern is they don't know what that medication and pregnancy lead to, but they want you to stop taking any of those medications at least 2 months before you start trying to get pregnant, because they're not sure if it will be harmful. And you also need to take extra care for women who would use that drug for weight loss, and use other medications or barriers as well as the pill, because the pill becomes less effective.
Wow, that's interesting.
And I had never heard that reported before until I read this.
Well,
article.
so what I heard was like the people that were advocating for body positivity, that they argue that it's important it promotes acceptance regardless of one's size. So I agree with that statement. I think that we should be, but that it's not setting a movement. And actually, under that same article there's an anti-diet movement. Did you hear about? I didn't know. I was like, are you kidding me? There's food shaming. I just think there's a different way to doing, glorifying obesity as a way to combat weight-based discrimination and promote inclusivity. Others believe that it promotes unhealthy lifestyles and contribute to the obesity epidemic. It's not taking the fact, we need to back up and say we need to be a more graceful, less judgmental society. Instead of shaming someone, build them up. I was listening to the podcast with Annie Jacobson and
Joe Rogan?
Yes, Joe Rogan. And I had it right here where he had said in 30%, Ozempic right now is the #1 drug being sold in the U.S. It is the most profitable this far, and it probably will be.
They said just the sales of Ozempic is higher than the gross national product of Denmark. Until January.
Damn. And it's predicted within 5 years that 30% of the population will be on it.
So this goes back to how we feel about our bodies and body image. It goes back to we believe that there is some kind of magic pill that solves all of our ills instead of lifestyle. And we are always talking about the way that, and I'm trying to think of a good way to say this, but you don't have to be 6'1", looking like Magic Mike to be a good-looking man, right? Just like you don't have to be a size 2, 5'11",
perfect skin, no
perfect
cellulite.
skin, Giselle. I never say her last name right. Bunchant, whatever her last name is.
Just Giselle.
Giselle, right? That's why we only call her Giselle.
She's like Madonna.
You don't
Prince.
have to be
Just
look like
Giselle.
her to be beautiful.
Yes.
There are so many markers. There are so many different things that come into what actually makes something beautiful. And then how many times have you known someone who looks perfect but is vapid?
Drop dead gorgeous.
And you're like, God, I wish they wouldn't open their mouth.
Yes, the minute you experience their energy, you're like, get away.
So, and I think, there is beauty from the inside. And I truly believe if we're all working towards being more beautiful on the inside, it actually does translate to the outside.
Yes.
Because the outside, the skin and the hair and the bones and all of that stuff is just a physical manifestation of where we are in any particular cycle of life, right?
Yes.
And
I'm convinced we even dress our bodies to the way we feel.
Yes. But I do think we really need to be concerned about not the body image that society says is beautiful in any given moment, but what is the healthiest version of ourselves. And that's why I even say, how do we measure that besides the scale?
How you feel.
And we said how I feel, how you feel. And can I run up the stairs? Do I feel good running up the stairs?
Yes.
Can I
go and play with my kids and not get out of breath?
Can I get on and off the
Am
boat?
I flexible enough? Yes.
You should have seen me hoisting myself on the boat. I was like, and it's just this odd movement of yanking yourself out of water
Yes,
and all of that.
yes.
But
Especially when you're trying to get it from a dock and it's, the waters.
yeah, the boat is moving and you're moving and
It's
the
hard.
waves
That's
are
hard
moving.
for anybody.
But what I think of is exercise 25 years ago for me would have been fitting into jeans, where exercise now is wanting to continue to live a life in which I'm capable of doing all of the things that interest me.
Yes.
I wish I could look better, though. Not in the traditional, I'm not going to be a model on the cover of Swimsuit Illustrated. I wasn't at 20 and I'm not going to be
Right.
at 52, but still feeling and looking the best for myself. But when I put the lens that I use for my friends or somebody else where I say, I wish you could see me through your eyes, I am trying to look at myself through people who loves me's
Yes.
eyes.
Yes.
Which then doesn't care about, I was doing the tricep pull down things and I was like, what is that little thing? And you know what I said to myself? Don't look at it. You know what? You don't have to look at it. It's fine. It's mostly covered by clothing.
Right.
If you do these enough times, maybe that'll go away.
Right.
Maybe it won't.
I don't like the way my bum looks. I'm just not going to look at. I'm just not going to look how I look in the back.
And see, I think that's so silly. What a waste of energy. Your bum is adorable.
Oh yeah.
You know how many would kill for your bum? You know how many people would kill
I'm
for your bum?
just saying. Well, I don't know. We'll take a poll.
Yes, we'll take a poll.
But it's something that I can't change. And it doesn't matter how many squats. It doesn't matter if you starve yourself. That's me. And as you get older and you have more acceptance. Like if I could tell my younger self or other people that are struggling, really just sit in, I accept me.
Right.
I accept me.
And
I love me.
And one of the things I think about the drug is supposed to be useful for people who are needing some help. It prevents you from eating. It actually slows down, and I can't wait for the doctor to talk about it, but how it works so that you can understand what those side effects are.
Yes, because it really was made for type 2 diabetes, and because they're doing it, it actually is messing up with people that don't have blood sugar problems. It is messing with their blood sugar problems. And a lot of times, sometimes being overweight is a thyroid problem. And I don't think
a
hormonal problem, but hormones. Your thyroid is kind of a central part of your hormone system. But do you also know that one of the side effects for it is thyroid cancer? So if you already have a problem with your thyroid, are you increasing? That's what I would be curious to find out. Are you increasing your chances if you already have a dysfunctional thyroid? So long-term wise, are we really doing something good for ourselves by taking it for such a short period of time? I know a friend that was on it and she started losing hair.
No, that is an actual side effect across the board. You will lose your hair.
Yeah.
You will lose some of the hair that you have. I don't know how much percentage, but it is not a side effect amongst some.
And it's
it is
not
becoming
your armpit hair and it's not your leg hair.
It's the hair you want.
I know. I think we've evolved long enough that, genetics, microevolution should have kicked in by now. Like, how many years and years and years have women been shaving their legs? Like, we don't need hair on our legs anymore. Stop growing it.
That's just for ticks to
Our bodies need to stop growing it. But anyway, that was just...
And at some point, your body does... Well, my body stops growing.
What was that? A neural defunct?
Neurodivergence.
Divergence.
Yeah. When I was... So one of the things, they call it Ozempic butt, because you lose so much muscle mass. So the proper use of the drug is one thing.
Wait, what is Ozempic butt? You lose all your butt? You don't have a butt?
You literally lose the muscle mass of your behind. And they had pictures of it in the magazine.
So one of the slang words that we used to use for that is skabone. Like somebody that's really skinny and bony, it's skabone.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good one. That's a good slang. Skabone.
Skabone.
One of the other things they were saying about the drug was that if you are losing so much weight so quickly that you need to spend money on fillers because you will lose a ton of volume in your face.
Wow.
So, and of course, if you're considered really obese and then you lose like 100 pounds, 200 pounds, you're going to have extra skin and everything else. And you can get that taken care of cosmetically or not.
Yeah.
And it is, of course, important to be healthy. But what is not being considered is how your health is affected with just taking a pill versus making lifestyle changes. So one of the things I had been trying to lose weight, but I had a heart problem. And I knew I had a heart problem. And I remember being in the hospital, and I would gain and lose the same 12 pounds all the time. And one of the things I was telling the doctor was that I could gain 9 pounds in a day, no problem. And she's like, well, that's all fluid. And I was like, no, I know. But standing on the scale and seeing it, or not fitting into a pair of pants
Right.
you could fit into, it's just a whole tantrum in the process of happening, right?
Right.
It's a mood
Right.
a mood ruiner for sure.
I'm gonna go take some diuretics.
And so at the time I hadn't thought of
Yes.
that. At the time I hadn't thought of that. But one of the things that I learned is that too much fluid worsens the heart problem. But what
Yes.
she had said was, if your heart is not functioning properly, you're not going to do anything else. You're not going to lose weight, because your heart is the organ that keeps you alive.
Yeah.
It's what pumps oxygen throughout your body.
Yes.
It's without the heart pumping, you're not having a life. So she was saying one of the things that should have been taken into consideration when I was telling doctors that I wasn't able to lose weight, when I had been doing everything that my previous life would have worked no problem at all. And one of the ways that I found that I had a heart problem was I had no heart rate variability. And I was a runner, and I all of a sudden couldn't run because my heart rate was at 120 when I wasn't doing anything. When I went to move at all, it was 180 or 200. And I'm like, I'm not even jogging yet. So that's how I knew there was something wrong and why I wanted to be tested. And they should have taken the fact that I had been trying to lose weight for such a significant amount of time unsuccessfully as part of a heart problem. So not only if you are having real struggle losing weight, there are so many reasons other than you're an undisciplined, unmotivated.
But back up. So there's something
Something wrong.
What I hear you saying is you couldn't lose the weight because your body is expending so much energy trying to heal your heart and heal the problem that was inside of it. So that this is secondary. We need to focus all on this. And so this is where we're going to put all of our resources and all of our energy.
And then it became a stressor because I had been consuming so little calories that I was actually stressing my body when my body needed calories, and my body needed to heal. My body didn't need the additional stress of starvation or the additional stress of trying to exercise.
Yes.
So I was worsening a problem that I knew I had, but that no one was taking seriously.
Yes.
Because there's this time period. If you're a woman of a certain age and you complain of anything, the average doctor who only has 2 minutes to talk to you, because the way insurance works is they're going to say you're depressed or you're menopausal and leave.
Well,
and there's nothing they can do.
Because they're not treating the whole. They're only treating a symptom. They're not treating the whole. But that symptom is there. It's like resistance. It's the thing that's knocking on your, tapping you on your shoulder and saying, hey, you have something going on with your body here. Because when we are in alignment, a lot of times when we talk about fitness and weight loss, a lot of times we focus on ourselves. And what? A lot of times when people lose tremendous amounts of weight, they still see themselves in the mirror as fat.
I do.
It's because you're not, I wouldn't say this is the only answer, but a lot of time you're not preparing your mind. You're not getting your mind and your body in sync, in alignment. So it's not whole health. We're
just like people who have anorexia, who we see skin and bones, see themselves as fat.
Yes.
They see something else in the mirror.
Yes.
They don't see the true representation of what they are. And there was a woman health coach who said that she treats people with weight loss because most of the time their weight loss has nothing to do with the physical body and how much they're eating as much as how and why they eat.
Yes.
What they eat.
Yes.
When they eat it.
Yes.
So, one of the things that she says a lot of times is you keep a food journal and why did you eat? Why did you eat what you eat?
Yes.
Do you eat when you're under stress? Do you eat when you're
happy?
How do you use food in your family? Do you all get together and have a big meal? Like there were so many and when I had I was having a sleep problem, which was initiated by my heart problem. And I had complained about that and was ignored. But when I told my gynecologist, she said, I'm going to put you in touch with a sleep doctor. So when I went to the sleep doctor, she had a 25-page questionnaire.
Wow.
And of that 25-page, 25% of it was questions that indicated heart. Because I was my heart was racing so much. My AFib was tripping while I was sleeping, and that was waking me up because it was telling me to stand up because I was lying on my left side, so blood was pooling and exaggerating an already big problem. So it was funny how many different ways into the same problem, but it wasn't until I had that event in the hospital, and then nobody could see me for 11 months or 9 months, however it was. Between November and August, however many months that was when I could see the doctor that they thought I needed to see.
Oh, yes.
And I said to myself, what if I die before then? I need to do everything on my side to try to get to that appointment.
Yes.
And in doing everything that I did, I mean, I still have events. I had one the other day. And then I have to ask myself, do I have enough fluids? Do I have enough potassium,
what happened?
magnesium?
Why did I have this?
Where am I going? Because now I can troubleshoot. It's something I've done. Now, I'm not 100% healed because I can still trip it. Lack of sleep trips it. Waking abruptly when I'm in a real deep sleep. You know how, have you ever woken not through the cycle of sleep and you like are startled almost, and then you become almost like hungover for the day?
Yes.
That happened, and that whole day I had AFib. I couldn't So one of the things
it's
I
really
do is
important to get your body in rhythm and keep it in sync.
Yes, and I always keep talking about my heart because the heart attacks are still one of the leading causes of death in the United States, over cancer, over everything. And because without your heart, you don't have anything. But there are so many things to contribute to heart problems, and obesity also contributes to heart problems.
Yes.
And so one of the things my doctor, the cardiologist, said when I first went and said that I'm feeling this problem, she said, you're overweight, lose weight, and you'll lose the heart problem. And it was actually the opposite.
Right.
And I didn't, I was running on a treadmill. The doctor came, gave me that advice. I blamed myself for being fat and then tried 10 times harder to lose weight.
Right.
10 times harder. So I'm not saying that, there aren't reasons for people to try to take temporary things to help them lose weight, because it does affect your heart. It affects your
everything.
So many things.
In your liver. Think about all these prescriptions that we're putting in, and over time, people have been on long-term medicine. I have a friend of mine, she lost weight, and she had the sleeve put in, and she lost over 100 pounds, and she got rid of blood pressure medicine. She got rid of her thyroid medicine. She got rid of diabetes medicine. Like there's so many books about people. Our bodies are miraculous things that they can heal themselves. You think about like, what's the lizard that can regrow
drop its tail, the gecko?
Yeah, that can grow a new tail. If an animal can be that miraculous, what do you think the human body can do?
Well, Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
He has these retreats where he teaches people meditation, and he is actually taking people in the group who are very sick, and then he has people who are really good, have like really gotten really good at the meditation, and he surrounds the people, and they all meditate on the healing of the person, and people are getting healed. So I had read some part of one of his books about breaking the habit of being yourself, and I had watched him on an interview, and he talked about healing his back after a car accident. He was doing the Tour de France, and someone ran him over in a car, and he was supposed to have back surgery. And he says, I'm a chiropractor, and I believe in the natural healing abilities of the body, and I'm going to try to heal myself by imagining my spine being whole and all of this stuff that seemed wonky and woo-woo and everything. But he says if it works, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to finding out why it works. And so that's what he's been doing.
Gosh, I get goosebumps.
And so after the whole thing happened with my heart, I would go to bed every night and say, I don't know how to heal my heart, but my body does.
Well, Dr. Joe Dispenza has this whole, there is actually, I think you can look it up on YouTube, Spotify. He has an I am meditation, and it talks about, and so a lot of times I will go to bed at night, or especially if I don't feel good, or if I'm mentally, or I'm wounded. There's a lot of times some of my mantras, I am love, I am loved, I am whole, I am healthy. And, I just go down through these things, and I think about like my body and I will say, my heart is clean. My heart is pure. My heart is a fine-tuned, and I think about it, and I actually think about the last time I did it. I thought about it being like a water slide, in how the blood is flowing through those and just the water just racing through there, and it's clean and it's free, and my cells, my blood is clean and pure, and just like all these different little things. And you actually wake up and I'm like, I do feel better.
And when we go back to this magic pill of this drug, we want results to be instantaneous.
Yes.
And when we're looking in the mirror, we're not seeing instantaneous results. When we step on a scale, we're not seeing instantaneous results. So something that probably took a long time to get there, and we're turning around, it takes a long time to undo, and we just don't have the patience for it. We have this instantaneous society. And this drug, they can't get the drug because it can't be manufactured fast enough. So people are making the fake drug, and people are dying from it.
It also says that they can't even keep it on the shelves. So it's actually people that actually need it for diabetes are not able to get it because everybody is, racing to get this drug. And so it's, we already had problems with people being able to get insulin.
That's right.
And now you've compounded the issue for those things. I'm like, but equipping yourselves, like we told you a couple of little things. I go in the closet and I put on outfits to make myself feel better sometimes when I'm shaming my own body, or I'm shaming my own self of how I feel inside. If I don't feel good out on the outside, on the inside, sometimes the only thing I can do, if I can't talk myself out of that place, sometimes I will physically go and do something, like whether it's walking on the treadmill or, something as simple as, putting on an outfit, or, something that makes you feel good, or remembering a time when you.
I don't think we talk enough about
self-love.
Well, and also the food that we eat. We blame all of these food companies for being unhealthy, but they never promised us health.
Right.
They promised us ease and convenience.
Yes.
So
fast food.
I distinctly remember, did you eat French bread pizzas, Stofas? French bread pizzas?
Yes, I did, but I didn't like it because they had little tiny dehydrated onions in the sauce. So those were not my go-to. So I always felt like it was punishment when my mom got the French bread
Elios?
pizzas.
Did you like Elios?
I did, but see, we didn't have those growing up in Virginia. I do like those.
Okay, so you didn't have that. You get home from school, your parents not home, and you're making yourself a snack, and you're not allowed to use the stove, so you use a toaster oven.
No, we didn't have a toaster. Bagel bites.
Okay.
We did do bagel bites, or we would make the little English muffin pizzas, or I can't remember the brand that my mom would get. Tombstone frozen pizzas.
Okay.
So I liked their sauce.
Well, I wasn't. We were 70s babies, and that was really the advent of women going into the workforce en masse, and the food companies coming up with packaged prepared foods to make everyone's life easier, because now who's cooking after you get home all day?
Right.
You get into that whole thing.
Right.
And so they didn't promise health. Never. They promised convenience. And then we went, I remember distinctly, I used to come home from school and I used to make myself the French bread pizza, and I wasn't allowed to use this oven because that was a fire hazard, but the toaster oven wasn't. Right. So I used to make them in the toaster oven, and then we got a microwave. And I remember we didn't have space for both the microwave and the toaster oven, so we tossed the toaster oven. And every time I put the pizza in the microwave, I was like, this isn't good. It doesn't have the crunchy. It doesn't have the melty. Some of it's still
if
frozen.
If you cook it too long, then the dough is chewy. It's
it was awful.
It's worse than like a chewy pretzel.
And I said to my parents, like, we need the toaster oven back. And they said, well, this is better. It's done in, 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, but it's not good. And they were like, I know, but it's quicker.
Yes.
So we've accepted convenience.
Well, it was kind of the start of that whole thing. That whole movement it started the movement of instant gratification versus delayed gratification.
And, there was we're all so busy, and you need to eat in 2 minutes from when you're, and I do agree. Sometimes we do need to eat in 2 minutes, because
yes.
Last night I was out from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, and I was thinking, you said Chinese food. And I said, hey, you want me to bring home Chinese food? The response was yes. And then the response was like, why don't we get a salad from Pressed? And I'm like, great, I'll go get a salad from Pressed.
Dang it.
Because the starved part of me
Yes.
that had eaten 7 hours beforehand, who wanted to eat in 10 minutes, wanted Chinese food, of course.
Yes.
But I wouldn't have wanted Chinese food 2 hours later. I would have wished I ate the salad. So I did.
Yeah.
I ate a salad with chicken on it, and it was perfect. But that immediate need to be taken care of because I'm not taking care of myself, because work just got into the, the whole day just got away, or eating out of the house the whole time.
Or I know for me, when I get myself to that point where I'm so hungry, that's where I feel like, yes, I want to splurge. Like, I want to go for something yucky but good.
Yes.
I want to go for that fast food. Like,
yes.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love fast food.
I love
but
fast food too.
So we do it every once in a while, a blue moon, and like I had to talk myself out of that. Once in a while, I'm like, oh, I'm craving Taco Bell. And then I just talk myself out of it because I'm like, I remember how it makes me feel afterwards.
Yes.
But just that taste, and it's like, I think it's more of a comfort than it is actually good food. Like I'm attaching it to a good memory.
Yes.
And so that's why it's actually good, not that it actually tastes good.
Right, because you're trying to bring back something and you need something, and there's one on every corner and it's cheap and all of that. So part of the reason why 70% of Americans are unhealthy is because 70% of the time we're eating completely unhealthy food, and sometimes 100% of the time we're eating unhealthy food. And we're doing it out of convenience and ease.
Yes.
Instead of, because going to the supermarket, picking out the ingredients, making them taste good,
planning it,
preparing it, doing all of that takes time and energy. And isn't it quicker to have the pill?
Right.
But there's going to be a side effect to the pill when we go back to lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with eating Chinese food every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with, eating Stouffer's French bread pizza every once in a while. There's nothing wrong with doing that every once in a while, but the majority of our lives can't be that, or otherwise we're back to the lifestyle thing where you can't work out once a week and be healthy.
Yeah.
Just like you can't eat one salad a week and be healthy.
Right. Pat yourself on the back.
This is all, and these promise of these pills is promising that we don't need to do what we need to do.
Right.
And that's the part that I take umbrage to. It's the part that I'm, it's not the solid advice that's going to help us long term.
Right.
It's another promise of another quick pill to make it better, and it doesn't make it better.
Yeah. And it's not for long term. Like, studies are always coming back that once you go off of it, you've gained it all back. It's just like if you go through gastric bypass, if you don't continue, to moderate what you eat, it's still going to come back. So everything you do, it's a temporary fix, not a quick fix. I mean, it is a quick fix, but it's only temporary if we don't maintain the result, if we don't take care of the product that comes from it.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that Joe Rogan was talking about it instead of like body shaming, and he's on the side of, no, we shouldn't be telling people, and we shouldn't be putting, severely overweight people on billboards and saying that it's okay to do that. No, he was telling a story about a guy that was severely overweight. I think it was like an army campus or something like that, and he had just said, the guy said, there was a big Marine or something going into the gym, and he had said, why don't you come? Why don't you come into the gym?
It was an overweight security guard.
Yes.
And it was, it was Annie Jacobson's cab driver, and he had told her how he lost a lot of weight. And she goes, how did you do that?
Yes.
And he said, I worked as a security guard, really overweight, at this army base. And the guy said, why don't you come in with us? Which wasn't saying, hey, you're fat.
Right.
It was saying, hey, come and work out with us.
Right.
And said from the guy who's in shape, well, I want to look like that guy. So that impetus to start something.
Yes.
And then to stick with it. Because
yes.
Joe Rogan's obviously an MMA fighter. He's working out all the time.
Right.
He's almost 60 years old. He looks better than 50% of the 20-year-old guys out there. But it's diligence. You look at The Rock. Rock was talking about, he and The Rock were talking about how to maintain doing it over long periods of time. Yeah. And the answer is because there's no answer not to do it.
Well, so I think one of the easiest ways to start is saying to yourself, waking up in the morning, today is the day. Today is a day to love on me. Or today, I'm going to love on me. And what does that look like for you? Okay, so I'm not going to, in pausing before we eat, to say, why are we eating this? Is this helping me or is this harming me?
Yeah, is this helping me towards whatever my goal is?
Yes.
If my goal is I have been killing it and I've been eating unbelievably healthy and this is my treat because I promised that if I did whatever, I was going to have homemade. My other thing about being so upset about the microwave oven is I didn't want mediocre.
Yes.
I didn't want mediocre anything. At the time, I was getting into that dieting stage.
I want what I want.
I want good.
Yes.
If I'm eating a cookie, I want it to be a good cookie. If I'm having pizza, I want it to be good pizza. So those calories.
That's why you and I are friends, because I don't eat food that I don't like.
Right. And if you are going to be splurging on something, get good ice cream.
Yes.
You know, the worth it part. And then I'm also, if I am eating a healthy dish, I want it to be good.
Yes.
I want it to taste good. I don't want to feel like I'm being punished by eating something healthy.
There's so many spices in this world that can make, the worst vegetable taste pretty good.
And I do think I went through a period where I went through my vegetarian stages. And so I tried Vietnamese food. I tried Thai food. I tried Indian food. When you go back to cultures who haven't had packaged food and you go and you see how they make things, they make delicious food. So I have adopted a lot of different things from different nationalities because they're very vegetable forward because they don't have any meat.
Yes.
Because meat's so expensive.
They have to be.
Or in India, they don't eat cows, they worship them. They do. Wander in the streets.
So listen to this. So in high school, I usually didn't eat breakfast. Sometimes I would eat lunch, but I would get out of school at 2:15, and then I went and worked a job. But on my way to my job, I would stop at this little country store, and they used to have 3 hot dogs for $1, and they were so good. They were steamed, and their relish was just the mustard and the chili. The chili was good. I would get 2 hot dogs, a Dr. Pepper, the big grab bags of chips, and I would get one of the Little Debbie's, the Swiss cake rolls, the big ones. And I would sit in the car and I would eat that before. And then I was eating when I feed the kids. I was working at the YMCA. So I think it was like between 3 and 5, and I would always give them a snack. And of course I would eat that as well. And then I would go home and eat dinner. And I'm like, I'm not even hungry. But I was just never a thought to what was going in my mouth, like nitrates and the preservatives and the sugar and the junk.
Well, it wasn't even talked about in those days.
Well, my mom, my family would say, when you die, you're not going to rot. You're just going to be preserved. It's true. And because I was a picky eater, but when I did eat, and a lot of times, even when we would go down south to go and visit my parents and visit my mom, I always looked at food or fast food because we didn't have Chick-fil-A and we didn't have Arby's up here. And I would go and get a Chick-fil-A sandwich, a large fry, a medium shake, and I would go and get a big Arby's beef and cheddar. And I would eat that for my whole meal. Like 2 huge honkin' sandwiches, and like what I was doing to my body and just not even thinking about it. And I was talking to a lady and she was telling me a while back, she was like, I don't care that I'm overweight. I'm happy who I am. And I'm like, I can see it written all over your body, the way you carry yourself, everything. No, you're not. You're lying to yourself because you don't want to make one, you think it's too hard. We settle for, we don't get what we deserve. We get what we tolerate. And it's because you don't want to make that change. And I'm like trying to tell somebody, and she's like, who are you? What are you doing? You're so skinny as a rail. You don't never had to worry about it at all. No, I did have to worry about it. But it's gone past the point where I'm not worried about like what my skin looks like and what size I am. I'm worried about my body, my heart, my lungs, my organs more than I am about what I'm putting into my mouth. I'm like, hey, I know I just want to love on me. And so the message wasn't received very well. I was just trying to say it's one simple thought.
Well,
eat slower,
Yes.
smaller portion sizes. Like start with a little. Like just
Well, I
start
have
with a
trick.
little.
So
20 minutes.
If you eat fiber first, it changes how your pancreas and your everything that makes insulin.
Yes.
So I went to a fitness event, and they were saying that if you eat the fiber on your plate first, it indicates you have to have fiber. But fiber is so
Mandarin orange.
real fiber is so important because you have soluble and insoluble, and one of them makes the lining of your gut so you can have a healthy gut biome, because you don't want it to be permeable so that little bits of food leak out into your body, because that's where all inflammation starts from.
Yep.
Is your stomach. And so if you have you have to have fiber first, but if you eat the fiber first, it slows down the way insulin is released, the way you eat so you can eat the same food if you eat the fiber first. And what I was doing was I was eating my salads last, because I thought, I want all this fiber to push everything through, which was just the wrong thing. You wanted the fiber first.
Yes.
And of course now fiber will fill you up, so you will significantly eat less, unless you're always eating past the point of being full.
Well, and I know sometimes,
which I had to stop doing for heartburn. So you can eliminate 50% of heartburn by eating less. So my
Yes.
sister-in-law and I figured that out simultaneously, because I had heartburn all of the time.
Yes.
And I was eating too much, so I was too full. So we started splitting all of our meals at restaurants. Let's just split a meal.
Yeah.
So we would cut a meal in half, and even that was still too much food, but we were like, okay, well, we're significant. Like we noticed, because every time I ate out at a restaurant, I got heartburn, 100%, no matter what I ate. And it was like, well, because I'm eating all of the food, because I'm paying for all of the food, and I'm not going to take this home.
Right.
So it was eating half of the amount of food, and it's amazing how much less food I can eat and still be full.
Yes. Well, so when I first moved up here, I was working in a daycare. And one of the biggest things to me, because I'm a picky eater, and I remember being forced to sit at the table. And, we talked about this, sitting at the table and saying you can't go play until you finish your meal. And I wasn't hungry. And it wasn't out of disrespect or defiance. It was, some of it was defiance, but I'm like, I need to protect me is how, but I didn't know that as a kid. Like, I know that that's not going to make me feel good, and I'm not going to eat that. So I had baggage of somebody forcing me to eat something that I didn't want to eat. I come into this daycare situation, and all the teachers are there at lunchtime and at snack time. You need to eat everything on your plate. You need to eat your food, eat your food, eat your food. And I was like, I'm not hungry. And my babies were preemies, and so I worried about if they were going to get enough nutrition. And our pediatrician, she just said, they eat so little, they survive so little. And I was timing it because I did give them breast milk, but I was pumping because they were, their suck reflex was premature. They were literally eating 2 tablespoons every 3 hours. 2 tablespoons of breast milk, getting them through that. So I had a hard time. It was then when I was at the daycare, like, no, you need to listen to your bodies. And kids, a lot of times they do listen to their bodies, and it's so little, and we overfeed them. We overfeed them, and what we need to be teaching in school, listen to your body. And a lot of times, Chris used to think that I'd give him a hard time. I'm like, he would always go back for leftovers. He'd want to go back for leftovers. He's gotten much better about it, but comes from that, he did hard work. He's out in the field all day. And, even growing up, he and his grandfather, they would be out working or cutting wood and stuff all day. And his grandmother would come in, and they would have a huge meal for lunch. And then they'd go back out and they'd have a huge meal. But a lot of times it was like shove the food in as much as you can. If I sat down, I could eat 3 pancakes, 4 eggs, and a half a pound of bacon and a piece of buttered toast. If I sat down and just consumed it all, I would feel like crap afterwards. But I kept saying to Chris, just slow down. Wait 20 minutes. So if you can make your meal time, the time that you're eating, almost to the time that you're eating, 20 minutes. And he's like,
and how many of us don't even take 20 minutes to eat it? I don't take 20 minutes.
No, but you don't. But if you eat slower and then you can sit there and pause and wait. And so there's a lot of times when he would come and I would invite him over for dinner and he's almost finished his plate and he's looking behind me. He's looking over his shoulder, like, is there more over there? Because he's like almost that
panic.
Like, I got to get some more. But he said it to me several times over the last year or so. He's like, I cannot believe how well that 20-minute things work. And I said it's because when it tastes good, we're just mouth hungry.
Mm-hmm.
We still want to taste the flavor of it, and you still want to experience it. I mean, I love food.
So that's my thing. I make really delicious food, so I'm eating because it tastes good.
Yes.
Instead of, I can make this again.
Yes.
I'm the one who made it. I will
can
make
say
it
this
again.
and have some of this for tomorrow, too.
Yeah.
But
I'm not a leftover
I'm not
person.
a leftover. Certain things I'm okay about with leftovers.
It has to be better the next day, like eggplant parm is better the next day. There's certain food that's better the next day because it's had time to
Definitely
marinate.
red sauce is better the next day.
So there is certain food that I can eat leftovers. But last week I was like, I'm just not in the mood for anything. So I get this way in the summer.
Yes, I do too.
Where if I could just have watermelon for dinner because I'm hot, I'm not in the mood for anything. Everything loses the taste piece that I would want. So I made chicken vindaloo.
What is that?
It is an Indian dish that obviously is chicken thighs, olive oil. It has onions and then a ton of garam masala. It has cumin. It has mustard seeds. It has all of these different seasonings. And then it's diced tomatoes and chicken broth. And it just cooks in the oven for an hour.
Oh.
And it all melts down and it just disintegrates almost into a, very easy to eat dish. But the flavors aren't anything that I have regularly. So it's just enough of a palate cleanser to make me feel like I'm in the mood for something else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm really in the mood for?
What?
A made-up thing, a Big Mac salad. So I want a hamburger on top of iceberg lettuce, chilled, with raw onions, pickles, Thousand Island dressing.
You could do that. Just ground your beef.
Oh, that's true. I could ground.
You just ground your beef and you put it on top of like a taco salad. You have a Big Mac salad.
Yeah, that's what I'm really in the mood for. That's really what I'm.
We're getting ready to go off, but one of the places, one of the Chinese restaurants that we used to go to growing up they would give you after your dinner, bringing your fortune cookie out, they would give you a bowl of pineapple.
Yes.
Because pineapple is supposed to help aid in digestion. And so even just little tricks of your brain, that little bit of sweetness, when you have something sweet afterwards, it kind of signals your brain that I'm full.
I'm done.
Yes.
I'm done.
So sometimes have like fruit on your, have some strawberries or have the pineapple and stuff and have that. It doesn't even take that much. Just a couple of bites of pineapple. Get the pineapple chunks if you don't, do the fresh pineapple. But it is amazing, just these little tiny tricks. But one thing you can say is, what's one thing that I can do to benefit me today?
Yeah. Be nice to me.
Yes.
Be nice to you.
Yes.
Until next Thursday.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great week. You're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic, WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can always watch us, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, as well as Facebook and YouTube. Have a great week, y'all.
Y'all.